Hey y'all, in the video today, I'm going to show you guys how I took this simple $40 dresser and mirror and turned it into this beautiful modern style dresser that I sold for over $450. Keep watching this video and I'll show you step by step how you can flip furniture just like this. This dresser flip started at my local thrift shop here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. They had several pieces there that could have worked, but I'm going to show you exactly why I chose the piece that I chose. So this first dresser was only $45, which is in my price range, but it did have a busted drawer face, and I really don't like to mess with that, so I decided to pass on that piece. The next thing was a dresser with this big hutch top, which are really just not in style anymore, and I didn't want to take it to the dump, so I passed on that one. It did have some really cool lion hardware, which almost tempted me, but I still decided to pass. And then we came across the piece that I chose in this video, and so basically it was just a simple little dresser that had a nice mirror, nothing major wrong with it, and it was only $40. So the first thing that I did when I got this new dresser home was start to take off these traditional style feet on the dresser. I've learned, especially here in the Nashville market, that when I put these custom modern style bases or feet on these dressers, it is a game changer when it comes to how fast they sell and how much money I can get. So I stepped outside to cut some wood for this, and of course it's dark because I work a full-time job, but no problem. I set up my car and shined the headlights on it, and I basically just ripped down a 2x4 in half and then cut these 2x2s now to length. So for this next step, there's probably a much better way to do this, but this way has always worked for me. I hold a scrap board in the spot that the actual feet are going to be, and I actually just hand draw on something that I think looks good. I go with this nice tapered modern look, and I ended up cutting it out and then tracing it for the other feet. After all your cuts are made, you want to get a pocket hole jig or a Craig jig and drill these pocket holes on the insides of each of these boards for the modern base. This is just a time lapse showing how I assemble all of these boards together and the feet. So basically, if you notice in this time lapse, for my modern base, it's going to be 4 feet. The 2 front ones are going to be tapered in that modern style, and then 2 long boards across the front and back of the dresser, and then 3 braces that go the width of the dresser all the way across, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. After I get them all screwed together in one solid piece, I screw it down from the underneath so all the holes are hidden. Next, I took the dresser back outside and began to sand down that brand new wood modern base with my orbital sander. I did notice when I flipped the dresser back over after working on the underneath, I had scratched up the top of this dresser really bad. But that wasn't a big deal because I planned to sand this down to the bare wood anyways so I could restain the top. I'll give you a quick tip here. I actually never use furniture stripper, and it's just my personal opinion. You may love it, but it's always really messy. And usually after I use furniture stripper, I have to sand it down anyways. So I've found that it's quicker and easier for me just to use my orbital sander. After I got the dresser sanded down all the way to the bare wood, it was time to stain. So my favorite brand of stain is Minwax. I found that this works better than some of the other brands for whatever reason. And the color that I went with was weathered oak for this piece. It doesn't show up that well on the video, but weathered oak is basically like a driftwood or like a barnwood style color. I really like the way that it looks, especially for a dresser top. For my stains, I just take an old rag and wipe it on and wipe it off. I don't leave much excess. So I went with that same weathered oak stain down on the new modern base. And I do this on most of my dressers where I add the custom base. I'll stain them the same color. Next, I took a wood filler and started to fill the holes on the top 3 drawers across the dresser. I only did it on these drawers because those were the only ones that I was not going back with pulls, and instead I wanted to do knobs. So basically just filled those, and then I sanded off all the excess. And sometimes you have to repeat this step over and over again until the holes are completely filled and are completely flat, because if not, if you let them sink or shrink after you fill it, sometimes that'll be noticeable after you paint. After that, the next step is to prime the dresser. I like to always use Zinsser brand primer, and I usually use the oil-based Zinsser's primer because I find that it works the best. It honestly just covers up stain, and sometimes after you prime a piece and you get done painting it and sealing it, you will have like a yellowing happen, And a lot of times that comes back to what primer did you use, and it's not blocking the stains. So I prefer to use the oil-based primers, but in this video I only had just a normal water-based Sensors primer, which is still really good, but sometimes takes a couple coats. So that's what I did here. I ended up doing 2 coats of primer on this dresser, and it doesn't usually matter as much if you're going with a dark color as your final coat, but I did end up doing 2 coats just to be safe here. So basically when I do my primer, I like to take a brush and do all of the fine details that are harder to get to and that sometimes need more paint, and then I will take one of those 3-inch foam rollers and roll all of my flat surfaces. I found that the foam rollers give you a lot quicker finish and a lot smoother of a finish than just brushing it all, so you don't have all those brush lines and everything. It's not as good as a paint sprayer, but it's a really cheap option if you don't have a sprayer. And I end up using that even though I do have a sprayer, so I highly recommend the 3-inch foam rollers. After you get done priming the body of the dresser, you will want to do the same thing to the drawers and to the mirror. And so for my drawers, biggest thing that I do is just make sure that I don't get it all over the sides of the drawers, because I found that looks really messy, and it's not a good look. You'll have to end up putting some wallpaper or something to line the drawers and the outsides of the drawers. And then for the mirror, I just use that foam roller all the way across the mirror, and I found that it is easier, instead of taping off the mirror, I just let the paint get all over the mirror, and then I go back at the end and scrape it with a razor blade, and it comes right off, and that saves me a lot of time and money on tape. After letting the primer dry and cure for about 24 hours, it was time to go in with the final color that I chose. This part I left in the video intentionally, so I was basically painting the trim down near the little wooden base, and I was like, I can't paint this straight of a line, so I tried this little cardboard trick where you hold a flat piece of cardboard against the trim, and basically it will keep you from painting and getting the paint all over the part that you want to leave stained. But after doing that for a few minutes, I was like, this isn't working that good. And honestly, it was taking me more time instead of just using painter's tape from the beginning, which I highly recommend. Go ahead and just use painter's tape. Tape everything off that you don't want to get paint on, because it's going to actually save you a lot of time and headache. And then you're also going to get a much better looking piece when you don't have paint all over the parts that are supposed to stay stained. So don't be like me and go ahead and just use painter's tape from the beginning of your project. After I got the painter's tape back on, I went back to the same process as the primer, basically brushing all of the detailed parts of the dresser and then following that up with that 3-inch foam roller, which again just gives you a really nice smooth finish. Not quite as good as a paint sprayer, but this goes on so fast with the foam roller, and that's why I use it. So each coat, whether it be primer or paint or the final clear coat, which will come next, only takes me about probably 30 to 45 minutes. So if you end up counting all of these steps together, that's why, I say that this is over the course of a few days, but each step only takes 30 to 45 minutes. I probably only have 6 to 8 hours total work in this dresser. So it's a great part-time thing, make a little extra money like I do. And I really do enjoy just seeing the process of taking something old and making it new. But it also I'm letting you know this because if you want to do a piece in your house, it's not as much work and it's not going to take as much time as you think. And really, these foam rollers and paint brushes, you don't need many tools to do stuff like this. I hope that encourages you to start a project like this in your home. This next step is one of the final steps that you will do on almost any dresser flip or furniture flip, and it is a really important step because it is your sealer and your finished top coat. It's important to use a really good product, so I highly recommend using Minwax Polycrylic. I will put the link in the bio for this product and all the other products that I use in this video and tools, so you can find it down there. This product is really good because it's water-based, so you can use it over your stained parts and your painted parts, and it is a self-leveling product. So that means that, if I brush it on, I'm not going to have a bunch of brush lines because it's going to level itself out and be a completely flat and even coat. And so since it's self-leveling, I actually found that it's better to just brush this product on everything instead of using that foam roller on this step. because that foam roller tends to give you these tiny little bubbles in your finish that you can see when you get up close to the piece. Basically just brush this stuff on, and I would recommend doing several coats and sanding in between coats with a really high grit sandpaper, like 600 grit or 800 grit even. So the more coats that you do on this, the better finish that you're gonna get, and it's going to be just like a professional finish that comes from a manufacturer instead of just an amateur painted piece of furniture. So this step is extremely important, so do several coats on this. So I found these really cool marble knobs from TJ Maxx for only $5 on clearance for the entire set of 8. And so I had these laying around the garage for a few months, and I decided this piece would be perfect for that marble to contrast with the black drawers. And so those drawers that I filled the holes in earlier, they used to have pulls, so there was 2 holes. And so basically I filled those holes, painted over it all, and then now I just measured center and drilled the holes for all 4 of these knobs. I decided to go with the pull knobs across the top drawers only, and then I ended up going with the pull handles on the rest of the drawers for the dresser. But updating your hardware, like your knobs and your pulls and sometimes hinges on pieces with cabinets, is one of the best ways to elevate your piece to the next level. And if you're selling pieces, it will make your sale so much easier. People love to see brand new hardware, so highly recommend that. And it doesn't have to be expensive. I found these gold knobs, pull knobs here, that are really nice and modern and high quality on Amazon for like $35 for a pack of 30. So they're a little over $1 a piece, which is definitely worth it. You can also find really good deals at Hobby Lobby when they run 50% off sales, which makes a piece so unique when you update the hardware. And here is your finished product. I absolutely love the way that this one turned out with the modern feet, the brand new hardware, and the colors that we chose. I got this piece staged up and posted onto Facebook Marketplace, where it sold in like 2 days for $450. If you remember what this piece looked like back when I paid $40 for it in the thrift store, and then I put $20 to $25 worth of materials into it and made almost $400 profit, I would say that this dresser flip was a success. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you guys on the next one.